Hey guys, this is Andrew at Flory PB, and this is another different video, but definitely more paintball related. This contraption is a very old 3000 PSI compressor built for a 1940s to maybe 1960s airplane. So it's a neat little piece of kit. I got it dirt cheap. Cheaper than a lot of the shoebox style compressors or those Chinese semi knockoff filling compressors. And I mean, there's infinite benefits to using this over one of those style compressors if I can get this guy running. Namely, this was, built and designed to put on an aircraft and run for many, 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 many hours without service. Versus these cheap ones from China. I mean, look at this stuff. Look at all of the safety wiring on literally every single part of this whole thing. It's beautiful. Like, this was beautifully built. All of the AN fittings, all of this. This is actually a stainless tube with some kind of coating on it. This thing is gorgeously built. A couple things about it. Things I don't know, first off, is this is a 3000 PSI head unit. This is the control box, which cuts it to 1500 PSI. Actually, an hours meter on it. Let's see. 1894 hours, I think. So this is a control unit. I have to go through it. So this is a 3-phase, 1.5 horsepower motor, but it's very tiny, very light. This whole thing is extremely light because it had to go in an airplane. So it's very light. And aerospace, they use different voltages than like standard house stuff with the 3-phase, but this is a 3-phase motor. It's a horse and a half. See if you can see the nameplate there. 7 amp, 3-phase, 1.5 horsepower. It's a 200 volt motor, which is a little low in voltage for standard America. But do I see it here or do I see it on the other one? Sorry, 7.8 amps. It's property of the US, 10.5 pounds. Super light for a horse and a half. Oh, it's a 11,500 RPMs, which is very quick for an electric motor, a horse and a half electric motor. Starting torque is fairly low because of how it's set up, but it's 11,000 horsepower or 11,000 RPMs. So if I look, here's on this plate. Solid state. This is some kind of cooler. So this is like a cooler for the air going through, I think. But here's the compressor circuit. 200 amp, 400 cycles. Now what 400 cycles means is it's 400 hertz. So in America, I think in Europe you have 243 phase, but it's 50 hertz. Your electricity is 50 hertz there. In America, we have 60 hertz is our standard. So I have a 3-phase converter for my mill that's 240 volt, 60 hertz. This needs 400 hertz, so I'm going to have to run this off of VFD, which is going to work great for the 200 AC and the 400 hertz setup. But this is from the Cornelius company. I don't know what this thing was for. I really don't, but I do know that this unit to control the electronics to shut it off was a 27 volt DC system per whatever that spec is, which I'm going to disregard this unit eventually, but I don't know if I can just turn it on. And this, boy, I got this plug separate. This is the 3-phase power. It's all aircraft stuff. Like, this is beautiful. I mean, this connector was more money than I want to spend on it, but that's a beautiful connector. Like, versus the crap you get out of China right now for these little compressors that take 3 hours, 4 hours to fill up a tank and, you know, blow things the fuck up. Now what that is, I don't know what this is either. That's a fitting. That might have been to, like, this might be the intake. So this might actually, that might have some kind of filter that was supposed to go on there. Or maybe it was piped up to a different thing. This is, I bet the guy to take a picture of this that sold it to me took this clamp off. I gotta put that clamp back on too. But this seems like the high pressure side. Seems like that would be high pressure because there's some kind of, either that's a thermistor or, man, it's just grounding. But there's something there. I don't know if that's checking temperature, because I don't think that's actually piercing the tube. I mean, just look at this beautiful thing. This looks like that could be a air intake. So I'm slightly concerned what the hell that is, but we'll figure that out as we go. The other sides don't have that. They have these integrated, like, lock setups. But, oh, so this, that might be a different size. Huh. I don't know what that would be. I'm sorry I'm just babbling here, but I just don't know what any of this stuff is. I know that guys back in the day used to use these for scuba compressors because it doesn't only just produce air, it produces very clean air because the airplane pneumatic stuff needed clean air. So it produces substantially cleaner air than you're going to get out of a lot of other things. It's super reliable. That's actually metal. That's cool. It's a hell of a casting just for the belt cover. I mean, it's 11,000 ripums, so might need it. But it's super reliable. It produces very clean air. And if this is to be believed, I don't know if it's to be believed yet, but where did I see it on here? Working pressure 1500 CFM. Compressed air, serial number stuff. Overhauled by these guys back in maybe 1990. But I can't see where I found it, but I think it's a 2 CFM compressor, which if that's 2 CFM at 3000 PSI, that's substantial. That's crazy. You got to think about it. Our tanks are 68 cubic inches, or maybe 90 cubic inches if it's big, 48 if it's small. This is cubic feet per minute. So if it's pumping 3000 PSI at 2 cubic feet per minute, that's 12 to the third times 2. So that's 144 times 12 is 1720 something like that. So it's like 1700, call it. Am I right? Let me do some math here. I have my phone I'm recording this with, but hold on a second. 1728, like exactly what I was thinking. 1728 cubic inches times 2 is 3,456 cubic inches it can do in a minute at 3,000 PSI. That's a lot of tanks that it can fill very quickly, so I don't have to sit there and run the thing if it works right for hours, day, whatever. I can pump some air into a tank, which is very, very useful in my opinion, especially for the price I grabbed this thing at. But I have a VFD. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart this, see what is, so it's 3-phase. I mean, you have 3 power lugs. and a ground. It's a 4-pin connector. There's no witchcraft here. But I have a 4-pin connector. I don't know how to solder into that, but I'll figure out how to disassemble this. I can solder those in. And I got to figure out what is what enough. It's 3-phase, so it doesn't matter all that much which leg is which, because I'm sure I can't find a diagram on this. But if it's spinning backwards, I think the VFD can compensate that, or I can just switch the leads. So that's not really a problem. I just need to figure out which one is ground. And I'm going to wire that into a VFD. I'll bring the VFD out. The other thing I got to check is oil. I have no oil. The guy that sold this, there's no oil in it. But the guy that sold this to me gave me some hydraulic oil for it. I think I got to turn it upside down to fill it, because I think that's the fill there, and that's the oil reservoir. It's probably a fill here, but I can't get to that with this frame that this thing's sitting on. But yeah, if this works, my goal would be get rid of this unit that goes to 1500 PSI, get rid of this old electronics, run this for 3000 PSI. Maybe if I'm feeling ambitious, I'll do some kind of Raspberry Pi control. My VFD's Modbus, so I can control it with something if I choose to learn how to do that. And I'll put some higher pressure, like water filters on it, and run it as a paintball tank filler. But I'm going to get this thing broken apart. I don't know where this goes. Maybe this goes to one of these. I don't have a diagram. That is the unfortunate part about this. But I'm just going to get to work. It's quite old. Wonder, I could probably just get an O-ring to do that. Right there looks pretty good. I'm assuming that seal sat on that surface there. Let me see what I have. So I have a set of Viton rings. I don't know if these are going to fit. This might need to be something like more of a copper gasket. Oh. Oil consumption must not exceed 1 ounce during each 5 hours of compressor operating time. Add oil every 25 hours or when level change oil, clean flush cup and filter. Use Lehigh 402 oil only for compressor. No tool oil or cup. Missing some things. Guess that's the filter. It's going to be interesting. Don't know if I can, might have to wash it out each time. That O-ring looks okay. Let me try a Viton O-ring. If that doesn't work, I have somewhere in this garage. I have like copper washers for like brake line stuff. And I broke the the base on purpose. Sorry about that. Hit you guys. Alright, so I'm going to need to spin the motor because I have no other way of figuring out which leg is what. So I'm going to spin the motor a couple times in order to do that. And to do that, I'm going to crack open all of the porting to this motor because it's just, what's the word for it? There's too much compression going on to just spin this thing by hand easily. So I'm gonna try to crack everything open. I cracked this one open. Have this weird wrench to try not to scuff up the aluminum, but I don't think it's gonna fit everywhere. We'll see what I can grab. I'm assuming that these, because they're at the top of the piston, are the charged line. Which means it's just this one. So I'm assuming those are the charged. Let me try to spin the fan. Oh my god. This is crazy. Even trying to spin the fan, it's very, very stiff. So I don't know. Let's see. These are probably the out. Wow. I'm glad I figured that out. That line's rotted through. Huh. How about that? I mean, good news, bad news. I was hoping these were steel. Just because I don't trust, because there's like a little coppery on them. I was kind of hoping they were steel, and they are. But yeah, that one is done. So is this wire? Interesting. This other one seems okay. So this goes into here, the back, front to back, front to back, back to front. And I think that's the out to there. Okay. So I guess this is stage 1. Stage 2 is over here, and then stage 3 is that one over there for a 3-stage pump system. and that goes over this way to the solid state deep water separate cooler something, whatever that thing is. Alright, so I guess I have to disassemble some safety wire and take this fan out, unfortunately. I'm going to keep this stuff so I know how it's supposed to look. And I got this on video for a little prosperity. Alright, so I gotta get the cover off and figure out how to get the belt off between the motor and the compressor. So I'm going to pop these two. Those two are Alright, so I was screwing around, didn't realize I wasn't recording, but I pulled the top plate off with the nut. And I thought those would be just one gear, but it's just a top plate. The gear's actually in here. And there is the broken wire, or the broken, yeah, that thing's just, it's never good on a rubber belt when I can stick a poker through it. Guess that's all that white crap was in there. It's just this belt disintegrating. Oh, there we go. Alright. Guess the good news is I can get the length of this pretty easily. I can get the count, length. I gotta order a new one of these. Like, I was unsuccessful getting this one out, so I'm just gonna vacuum it, blow it out. I'm gonna try to get this one out so I have a way to get a belt in here. Like, I imagine I gotta, I also don't know how to get a belt in here. I probably gotta take both these out to get a belt in. So this is all solid cast. But maybe I can sneak it. I don't know. We'll figure that out. This one actually has two. It's keyed. Let me. So I just whipped up this little extender.